I always believed that pain had a sound. A car crash. A scream. Shattering glass. But the deepest pain I ever felt came in silence. Sterile, humming silence of a hospital room. My name is Melissa Carter, and at 28, I thought I had everything I ever dreamed of. A stable marriage, a sweet little house in the suburbs of Savannah, and a tiny heartbeat fluttering inside me. Our first baby. Andrew, my husband, was thrilled. At least, he said he was. He kissed my belly every morning and talked to it as if our child could already hear him. But around my 9th week, things started to feel off. Not with the pregnancy, but with Andrew. He became distant, more tired than usual, spent longer hours at work, and would barely look me in the eyes. When I asked if something was wrong, he gave me the usual line, "Just stressed, babe. I got you. Don't worry." I wanted to believe him. I needed to. Then, one afternoon, I noticed spotting. Just a few drops of blood, but enough to send a jolt of terror through me. My doctor sent me straight to the emergency room. They admitted me overnight for monitoring. Threatened miscarriage, they called it. I lay in that hospital bed praying harder than I ever had in my life, that our baby would be okay. Andrew visited me that night, brought my favorite hoodie, kissed my forehead, sat by the bed for 10 minutes before saying he needed to get some sleep. "Long day tomorrow," he said. I asked him not to leave, but he did. I didn't know then that would be the last time I looked at him the same way. I ended up staying in the hospital for 3 days. The baby was safe, thank God, but I was a mess. No appetite, no sleep, just a constant loop of fear and uncertainty playing in my head. I clung to my phone, hoping Andrew would text, call, ask how I was doing. Instead, I got 2 texts in 3 days. "Everything okay? Need anything?" That was it. My mom came on the 2nd day. My sister, too. They fussed over me, tried to distract me. I told them Andrew must be tired, probably just overwhelmed. I made excuses for him like I always did. But deep down, something was shifting. When I finally came home, I noticed it right away. A faint scent of perfume that wasn't mine. Not overwhelming, but enough to make my stomach twist. My bed had been made. Not the way I usually did it, but sloppily, like someone had thrown the covers together in a rush. My favorite silk sleep shirt was missing, and the wine glass in the sink had lipstick on it. That was the first night I couldn't sleep. Andrew acted normal, almost too normal. He joked, made dinner, tried to cuddle. But when I mentioned the wine glass, he shrugged. Oh, Chloe came over, just to check in. Chloe Myers, my best friend. Practically my sister. We'd known each other since middle school. I didn't ask any more questions. I couldn't. I was too scared of what I might hear. Instead, I smiled. I nodded. I told him thank you for keeping things together while I was gone. And that night, while he slept, I sat in the living room alone, my hand resting on my belly, staring into the dark, and thinking, what the hell is going on in my house? The next morning, I woke up to find Andrew already dressed. He was whistling in the kitchen, scrambling eggs like nothing in the world had happened. "Morning, babe," he said cheerfully, sliding a mug of coffee toward me. "How'd you sleep?" I wanted to say. Not great. I wanted to scream about the lipstick on the glass, the perfume, the missing shirt. But instead, I sipped the coffee and forced a smile. Better. I think the hospital bed finally caught up with me. He kissed my cheek and rushed off to work, leaving behind the scent of his cologne and a deeper feeling of unease. I stood in the kitchen long after he'd left, staring at that damn wine glass in the sink. I washed it slowly, almost ritualistically, as if scrubbing it could erase the thoughts in my head. Then I opened the laundry hamper. My silk sleep shirt was still missing. So was my light blue robe, the one Chloe always used to borrow during girls' nights. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was just Chloe being sweet, checking in on Andrew, bringing wine to calm his nerves. But then again, when had Chloe ever checked on me that much when I was the one in the hospital? That evening, I invited her over. Chloe arrived in her usual confident stride, smiling as if nothing was wrong. She hugged me gently, her eyes glancing briefly at my belly. "Oh, honey, you look so much better. I was so worried," she said, pressing her palm to my arm like she really meant it. We sat in the living room, sipping tea. I didn't mention the wine. I didn't mention the sleep shirt. I just asked simple questions, innocent ones. How was your weekend? Did you get a chance to relax? Did you talk to Andrew while I was gone? She hesitated on that last one. Just a beat, but enough. Yeah, I dropped by once, just to see how he was holding up. He seemed really stressed. I nodded, taking a long sip of tea. Did you come inside? Chloe blinked. Oh, yeah. Just for a minute. He said he hadn't eaten, so I brought him takeout. We had a glass of wine, and then I left. There it was. She said we. I smiled politely and changed the subject, but inside, my skin was crawling. That night, I checked our home security app. Andrew never used it, but I did. I always liked feeling safe. And there it was, a 22-minute window, Saturday night, when the front door had been unlocked and not relocked until much later. Around 1:40 a.m., Chloe had said she dropped by for a minute. The following week passed like walking a tightrope over a chasm. I acted normal. I cooked. I texted family. I went to my OB appointment and heard my baby's heartbeat again. That sound steadied me, even if just for a moment. But every time Andrew looked at me with those sweet, innocent eyes, something inside me itched to scream. Then came the final crack. It was a Thursday afternoon. Chloe and I were texting about the upcoming baby shower my sister was planning. I mentioned needing to buy a new robe, and she replied, "You should grab that light blue one you wore last week. Looked so cozy." I stared at the message, my fingers trembling. I had not worn that robe last week. She had. I read the sentence again and again, trying to convince myself it was a slip of the tongue, a mistake, a joke. But it wasn't. It was familiarity, casual, like someone who'd been in my house when I wasn't supposed to know. I didn't respond. I just sat there, frozen, hand on my belly again, thinking, my baby is growing inside me while the two people I trusted most were growing something else behind my back. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling my baby roll gently inside me. My body was still, but my mind screamed. Chloe's message kept flashing in my head like a neon sign. That light blue one you wore last week. She'd been in my home, in my clothes, in my bedroom, and Andrew had let her. The next morning, I didn't make breakfast. I didn't play the part of the sweet, understanding wife. I simply waited for Andrew to come downstairs, rub his eyes, and say, "Morning," like nothing had happened. But I didn't smile. I didn't even look at him. He paused halfway to the coffee pot. "Everything okay?" "I don't know," I said flatly. "Is it?" He furrowed his brows, confused, or pretending to be. "What's that supposed to mean?" I didn't answer. Instead, I reached for my phone, pulled up the security app, and showed him the timestamp. Saturday night. 10:32 p.m. to 1:41 a.m. Front door unlocked. You said Chloe just dropped by. He blinked. She did. Yeah. She stayed for a bit longer. We were talking. I nodded slowly, watching his face. She said she liked the blue robe. His eyes flicked downward. A tiny twitch in his jaw gave him away. She probably saw it in the bathroom, he offered. No, I said, my voice cold. She said I wore it last week. A long pause. Then he exhaled, rubbed his face, and leaned on the counter. Melissa, look. Nothing happened, okay? She came over. We had some wine. She was just being nice. I was a mess. Worried sick about you. It was late. We both had too much to drink. She stayed on the couch. My voice stayed level. In my robe? He looked at me. Finally really looked. And saw it in my eyes. The disbelief. The betrayal. The clarity. He knew the game was over. Okay, he said, lowering his voice. We kissed. Once. I messed up. It was stupid. She initiated it. I pulled away. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so painfully predictable. And you expect me to believe that's all it was? He stepped forward. Melissa, I swear to God, it was just a kiss. I was drunk. It didn't mean anything. That phrase, it didn't mean anything, hit me like a slap. I turned away, holding onto the edge of the counter, trying to breathe. My chest felt tight. Not from panic, but rage. White-hot, focused rage. That's the robe I wore the night we found out I was pregnant, I said quietly. You know that? You said I looked like the happiest woman alive. He said nothing. I was in the hospital, terrified I'd lose our baby. And you were here, drinking wine, kissing my best friend, wearing the memory of my joy like it was yours to ruin. His silence said everything. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I didn't cry. I simply walked out of the kitchen, locked myself in the bathroom, and stared at my reflection for a long time. I didn't recognize the woman looking back. Pale skin, hollow eyes, shoulders curled in like she was trying to disappear. Was this what betrayal did to a person? Not the kind in movies with dramatic slaps and broken glass, but the quiet kind. The one that snuck in and hollowed you out from the inside. An hour passed before I came out. Andrew was gone. He'd left a note on the table in his usual scratchy handwriting. I'm sorry. I'll give you space. We'll talk when you're ready. Coward. I called Chloe. I didn't even plan what to say. I just dialed. She picked up on the third ring, her voice bright, fake. Hey, Mel, everything okay? You wore my robe. Silence. Just dead air. Then a nervous laugh. What? What are you talking about? I know, Chloe. I know everything. She sighed. A long, heavy exhale like she'd been waiting for this moment. Look, she said. It wasn't supposed to happen. I was worried about you. Andrew was falling apart. We were both emotional. Stop. My voice was shaking now. Not from weakness. From restraint. You slept with my husband. In my house. While I was in the hospital, trying not to lose the child I made with him. I didn't mean for it to happen, she whispered. I laughed bitterly. You tripped and landed in his bed. I didn't sleep with him, Melissa, she said quickly. It was just a moment. We got close. We kissed. Look, I know it was wrong, but it's not like we had an affair. You wore my robe. That's the line I kept going back to. It wasn't just what they did. It was the casualness, the invasion, the way she made herself at home in the wreckage of my life. I needed comfort too, she added, as if that somehow justified it. That's when I realized. She wasn't sorry. Not really. She was sorry she got caught. I ended the call. No yelling, no closure, just an empty line. Then I sat down on the edge of my bed and finally let myself cry. Not for Andrew or Chloe or the marriage we'd broken, but for the woman I used to be. The one who believed in loyalty, in friendship, in happily ever after. Andrew came back 2 days later. I heard the front door open softly, like he was trying not to wake a sleeping animal. But I was already up, sitting at the kitchen table, staring at my cold tea, my hands wrapped protectively around my belly. He stepped in quietly, like a child afraid to be scolded. "Hey," he said. I didn't answer. He took a few hesitant steps, then pulled out the chair across from me and sat down. "I've been staying at Jared's," he said, like I cared. I needed time to think. "Did you think about what you did?" I asked, voice flat. He nodded. "Every minute." "And?" He rubbed his face with both hands. He looked exhausted, but I didn't feel sorry for him. "I messed up," he said. "It wasn't about Chloe. It didn't mean anything. I was just scared. I didn't know how to handle everything. The pregnancy, you being in the hospital, I felt useless." "You weren't useless," I snapped. "You were my husband. I needed you." He looked at me, and for the first time, I saw regret that seemed real. "I know," he whispered, "and I hate myself for not being there. But you were there. You just weren't with me." He lowered his eyes. Couldn't even argue. I stood up and walked over to the sink, trying to steady my breathing. My baby gave a soft kick, gentle but firm. I placed a hand over my belly, grounding myself. "Do you love her?" I asked without turning around. "No," he said immediately. God, no. It wasn't love. It was weakness. It was stupid. I turned around. "And what about me? Do you love me?" His eyes met mine. "Yes, I do. I swear to you, I do." But it didn't matter anymore. Love didn't erase betrayal. It didn't undo what he and Chloe had done in the home we built, in the bed where our child was supposed to grow from love. "I'm keeping the house," I said. He blinked. "What?" "I'm not going anywhere. This is my baby's home. You can figure out the rest." He swallowed hard, then nodded. "What do you want from me now?" he asked. And that's when I looked him in the eyes and said calmly, "Nothing." Because he had already taken enough. It's been 8 months. The house feels different now. Lighter, quieter, safer. Andrew moved out a week after our final conversation. No drama, no screaming. Just a quiet goodbye, and the sound of the door clicking shut. I haven't seen him since. Chloe tried to call once. I blocked her. My baby, my son, came into the world on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. He arrived with a strong cry and eyes that looked like mine. The moment they placed him on my chest, I broke down. Not out of grief, but relief. He was here, whole, safe, untouched by everything that had come before him. I named him Noah. Noah means rest, peace, and that's exactly what he brought me. In the weeks that followed, they were hard days, long nights, the kind where you cry in the dark, not because you're sad, but because you're tired and healing is slow. But each morning, when I wake up to Noah's tiny fingers wrapped around mine, I remember why I kept going. I learned that heartbreak doesn't kill you. It teaches you who you are. I used to think being alone was the worst thing that could happen to a person. But I'm not alone. I have my son. I have a home. I have a future that no one gets to define for me anymore. And if someone asks me now what I want from a man, I don't say love. I say honesty. Because love without honesty is just a lie, wrapped in warmth. I don't know what the road ahead looks like, but I'm not afraid of it anymore. I've already walked through fire and made it out with something beautiful in my arms. So if you're watching this, and you've been through your own storm, I see you, and I promise you this. You're not broken. You're rebuilding. If this story touched something in your heart, don't scroll away. Click like and subscribe. Not for me. For every woman out there starting over, one quiet day at a time.